people and so on. I've been drinking water from a meow kettle for 8 or 10 years now. And I think that it helps. If your water molecule is too big, it's hard for it to get into the cell and carry nutrients in. If it's small enough, it carries nutrients in better and carries toxins out better.
I've noticed that if you spin water in a magnetic field, it becomes, denser.
It may very well become denser, but that denser may be actually smaller water molecules.
Okay.
More closely packed.
Yeah.
And one thing that I noticed when I first took the ORMUS is that my lips felt slick. And slippery. It slicked my lips as I put it. And that's been true for the last 16, 17 years that I've been taking it.
Yeah, true. The surface tension also changes. And
exactly.
I've noticed the similar effects when you subject water to frequencies. The surface tension also changes, and I think that relates to what people call the Joe cell or whatever water when.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So what seems to be going on there is that it's changing the structure of water, making the water water molecules tighter, and it does that by resonating at a different frequency.
Okay.
Have you ever seen anything about Hans Jenny and cymatics?
Of course, yeah.
Where he puts a certain frequency and has sand on a plate, and the frequency vibrates the plate, sound frequency.
Yeah.
And different frequencies have different patterns on the plate.
True.
Well, if we have something that carries a frequency hanging out inside a icosahedral or dodecahedral water molecule, imagine that water is like a little buckyball or a geodesic dome type of structure. That's what Dr. Martin Chaplin in the UK claims that water is like that, and that that you change the frequency and everything around it, the ORMUS being inside the water molecule, everything around it changes its frequency, and it goes to a larger molecule or a smaller molecule depending upon the frequency.
Yeah. Compared to Schoberger's work, where, he would rejuvenate the water by spinning it in a vortex.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Because, basically it's like, death and birth again. The rebirth of water would just, I'm not sure if that's enough to, collect ORMUS in the water, or if it's just, regenerating the water.
We're not necessarily concentrating the ORMUS in the water. We may just be getting it more coherent.
Okay.
More in line, more in agreement.
It's like rebirthing the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. By passing it through that, 0 point, whatever.
So we can increase the ORMUS effects by increasing how much ORMUS is in the water, number one, by increasing the coherence of the ORMUS that's in the water. And we do that by vortexing it, for example, or spinning it in a magnetic field, whether it's the Earth's magnetic field or an artificial magnetic field.
Yeah.
By putting patterns on the bottle, like Masaru Emoto talks about with structuring water.
True.
And that changes the way it freezes. We can also, so number one, the amount of ORMUS in the water. Number two, the coherence and the frequency of the ORMUS in the water. And number 3 is the energy level. We can raise the energy level of the ORMUS in the water. If you raise it too high, it probably moves it toward metal. But if you raise it just high enough, it seems to make it more potent, more effective.
Yeah.
So energy level, coherence, the pattern that's in it, the frequency that's in it, and how much ORMUS there is in there. Those are the 4 different ways that we think ORMUS can be differentiated from other ORMUS.
Amazing. This is the last question because I'm past the time. Have you noticed a difference in creating ORMUS in relation to the moon phases?
That's another pattern. It's the pattern of the... Yes, many people have noticed that ORMUS behaves differently at different times of the month, different times of astronomical or astrological cycles.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't fully documented this. One thing that recently has been discussed on some of the ORMUS forums is, it was actually discussed on, I've got a forum for the Netherlands. And on the Netherlands forum, they said, well, my precipitate, I made 4 batches and one batch didn't even sink. Mm-hmm. It floated. Half of the precipitate, or a good part of the precipitate, floated to the top. Mm-hmm. I made it at a different time. What's going on here? We don't know for sure. But other people have reported that sometimes some of it will float and some of it will sink. It all depends on some factors that are unknown but may relate to the phases of the moon.
It's said in more than one, I think Reich talked about it, that orgone is concentrated in the sky or in the atmosphere when the moon is full. And
there you go.
And you can reason that this is why water seems to, go upwards when the moon is full. And maybe because, water and ORMUS or orgone are attracted to each other. So maybe that's why they pull into each other. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so my favorite theory is that it superconducts our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It superconducts our thoughts and the thoughts of every living cell. It superconducts the thoughts of every living cell and every drop of water as well.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. And, Barry, thank you for your time, and it's such an honor to speak to you.
My pleasure, Mohammed.
Yeah, thanks a lot. This will be posted on our website, which gets about 1,000 visits a day. I'm going to post it on YouTube. Yeah. We're doing good work, hopefully. We're doing our best. And we're going to post it on YouTube. I'm going to put your website so people can follow your work and
very good
contribute. And thank you, my friend.
You bet. My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay.